Welcome back to Fox Sports News Long Lunch, and we are joined in the studio by sailor Nathan Outeridge, who just completed the Australian 49er Championships, a regatta near his hometown. Out of 13 races, you won 10, you came second in a couple of those, and they tell me that having local knowledge means something in sailing, does it?
Yeah, definitely. To be able to sail in your home waters, I had a few tricks up my sleeve that no one else sort of knew about, so it was handy when we were back a bit, we could come back through.
Nathan, you've been so dominant in this class, the 49er class. To the people out there that maybe don't understand classes in sailing so much, I mean, we've just been talking boxing and you've got your flyweights right up to your heavyweights. Where does 49er rank in the general scheme of things?
The 49er class is one of the really high performance classes, and it's a challenging boat to sail, and it's probably one of the quickest boats. It's definitely the fastest boat at the Olympics, and yeah, it just demands a high level of skill, and of course it happens so fast you've got to really think ahead of what's going to happen as well. So.
You have competed at an Olympics already. Next up, of course, is London. You're off to the Worlds soon. How do you, and you just mentioned before that you competed near your home waters and things like that, but how do you prepare yourself for the waters that are coming, say in the World Champs, which is your next big meet? How do you prepare yourself to get used to sailing in those conditions?
Well, the world titles start on the 2nd of January, so we're going to head across on Boxing Day to, familiarise ourselves with the conditions, and we've been looking at weather maps of the place and just trying to study the surrounding environment and looking at, maps of the actual shoreline and predicted winds, and that's about all you can do. And once you get there, you just try and learn as quick as you can what the weather's like, and the wind always bends a bit differently off shorelines, and you've got to learn about the sea state and things like that. So it's a pretty complex sport, and the more experience you could have at a venue, the better you're going to be at it.
Complex and quite gruelling. I was looking at some vision of you earlier in action, and it seems as though you'd burn a fair few kilos, I suppose, when you're out there. It's a very physical sport. Is that enough to keep you in shape, just competing itself?
No, definitely not. Like, you've got to do a fair bit of gym work as well with it, and recently haven't been in the gym enough as I should have been, and I'm feeling pretty run down today just after sailing for the last sort of 7 days straight, so I need a couple of days off before the next event, Sail Sydney. But yeah, it's all about just having really good physical preparation, and a lot of the things on the boat can be made easy or hard just with good technique. And sailing the boat a lot now with Ian, we've got a really good way that we do things in different conditions, and we can come in after sailing and be nowhere near as tired as the guys who have been capsizing out there. So you can make your life hard or easy, just depends on how much time and effort you put into your sailing.
Sorry, Nathan, how do you get on with Ian? Because it seems pretty close out there. You'd want to be pretty good teammates. Did you have many blow-ups out there on the water?
No, we generally don't have too many blow-ups. We've been mates ever since we were about 10 years old. We're both from the same sailing club up at Wanji, and we've sailed together in youth classes, and we've sailed against each other in the 49ers a bit recently too. So we get along pretty good.
Because the reason why I asked that, when you talk about the wind bending off certain parts of the coastline, etc., is there ever any times where you you have differing opinions on where you think it's coming from? Yeah, definitely. And who has right of way?
Well, at the end of the day, the skipper, which is myself, has the final decision, and we've sort of divided the roles up on the boat, where Ian's sort of in charge of making the boat go fast and, pulling all the right strings to make it go, and that then frees me up to have a look around and make the decisions on where to go. And, we've got to have a lot of trust in each other. I trust he's going to make it go fast, and he's going to trust I put it in the right direction.
In 2005, you had a very serious car accident to the point where you're out of sailing for about 9 months. Talk about your rehabilitation in that time, and rehabilitation is one thing, but then I guess having the agility and I guess the awareness in your body to be able to compete at the same level after going through that.
Yeah, like I had a car accident obviously in January 2005, and took a long time to get back to it, and I had to wear a back brace, from shoulders to hips for 3 months, and then I had to do physio for another 6 months after that before I could even think about sailing. And the one thing that sort of kept me going the whole time was just wanting to get back out sailing again. And while I was injured, my parents bought me a new boat just as a bit of encouragement to get back out there. And it's never easy sitting there watching all the people you used to sail against continue on, and you're missing out. But that was the one main thing that kept me going.
But being so physical, it would have been a steady process, I would imagine.
Definitely. Like, I just did everything the physio and doctor said, because there was no point rushing back into it. When I was only you know, 19 at the time, and, you know, I had many years ahead of me, and, you know, I just wanted to make sure I could walk again, let alone get sailing, and, you know, there was no point rushing it at all.
When you talk about competing for the Worlds and shooting for Olympic Games, and already you've won 3 national titles, how difficult is it for you financially to get your boat? Obviously, the Australian team will take the equipment over there, but how difficult is it for you to fight for sponsorship, etc.?
Well, we're pretty fortunate at the moment because we've won the Worlds just recently. We've got a lot of funding support from Yachting Australia and the Australian sailing team, and you know, we've got sponsors like Audi and Hamilton Island that are helping us out, and you know, the expenses are really high, but at the moment those expenses are being matched by the sponsors that we have. So you know, we're quite fortunate that we're doing it okay at the moment, but all it takes is us to sort of drop in performance, and if we end up outside the top 10 at the next Worlds, our funding will be cut significantly. So,
well, without delving into politics too much, the Crawford report was recently handed down, which in layman's terms basically said the more participants and more people supporting it, the more money we'll throw at you. Is that a concern for what you do, particularly in your class, heading into the next Olympics?
It is a main concern for us, obviously. You know, if the funding disappears, then I'm going to have to start working a job to keep paying for what I want to do. But, you know, I think sailing's a big participant sport, and hopefully, you know, the powers that be decide that, you know, we're one of those sports that are going to continue to get our funding. And, you know, if it doesn't happen that way, then hopefully we can search the corporate world to get some sponsors. A sailing boat's a pretty big boat, and we can put stickers all over it. So hopefully anyone who wants to support us, we can give them a bit of exposure.
What is the goal? I guess the most immediate is the World Championships. But how excited are you about the prospect of London?
Yeah, definitely. You know, to come 5th at the Olympics in Beijing was quite disappointing after being in medal contention the whole event. So, you know, that's the main focus between now and 2012 is to get up on the podium in London. And, you know, Ian and I have started a good team this year. We've won 4 out of 4 events so far, and one of those was the world titles, and the other one was a practice event that was in Weymouth where the Olympics are going to be held. So we just want to keep the momentum going and gain selection and get over there in a couple of years.
And I understand you were recently nominated for Rolex World Sailor of the Year, which is a terrific honour. What are your goals? Obviously, we've discussed an Olympic gold medal, but you're still chasing Chris Nicholson's 5 national titles. What are your aspirations, perhaps, in other craft in sailing?
Yeah, sailing's pretty diverse, and I'd love to get into the America's Cup syndicate at some stage. At the moment, they're sailing around in 100-foot trimarans and catamarans, and that's something I'd love to do. And also, you know, the Volvo Ocean Race is a pretty cool thing where they cruise around the world doing 30 or 40 knots, crashing through icebergs and stuff. So there's so many different areas, but at the moment, the main focus is the Olympics, and you know, I think if I can achieve the goal of a gold medal, then I can start to look at all the avenues that I'd like to do.
It sounds like a great life, travelling around the world sailing, but...
oh, it's tough.
Yeah, it just looks tough, and certainly the 49ers, I would imagine you'd come off a race of that like you've just played a game of footy getting bashed and buffeted.
Yeah, I've got bruises all down my shins from falling off, and yesterday it was really rough out there, and people were coming in and we were just telling stories about how we crashed here and did that, and we were doing this speed, and you know, it's just an awesome boat to sail, and we've got a good group of guys with us too.
I mean, are you sailing or are you surfing here?
Oh, you're just planing on top of the water at full speed, and you know, the decisions you make, if you make one wrong decision, you end up getting flung into the rig and you get bruises all down your side. So you've got to make the right call at the right time.
Great to have you in, Nathan. As David mentioned, you've got the World Champs coming up in the Bahamas. I think that's in January. Yep. But before that, you've got Sail Sydney and Sail Melbourne. Give that a bit of a plug before we let you go. Yeah, we've got 2 main events this weekend. Sail Sydney down at Wallara Sailing Club in Rose Bay. So you know, if you've got nothing else on, come have a look. And then we're heading down to Sandringham Yacht Club for one of the World Cup events. So it's one of the major events around the world, and we've got one in Australia, so we're going to head down there and hopefully get some internationals to compete against, and should be a good summer. It's not just the Sydney to Hobart as far as sailing is going around this time of year.
Never done the Sydney to Hobart, too busy doing other sailing.
Yeah, exactly. Good on you, Nathan. Great to have you, mate. Great chat, and best of luck in the future. We'll get you in before you win that gold medal in London.
Cool, thank you.
After the